Yes, sir. Hey, the college couch. We here.
Yes, sir.
Stackz is here. I'm here. You're here. Let's get it. I'm Javaris Harris. I'm the host of the college couch. Stackz, talk to me.
Yeah. Well, I am Stackz. Your other host of the College Couch, man. I just can't wait to get into these games. Talk about college weekend because we had a lot of games to cover, a lot going on. So we tried to figure out what we can highlight and things like that. But we're gonna get into it and talk about how Nebraska and Colorado went. It was a crazy game, crazy game.
Oh man, for sure, for sure. Listen, cousins turn brothers. We going at it. Listen, we finna be unstoppable, baby. Let's get it. Hey, number 22 Colorado versus Nebraska. Just like you said, man. Listen here. I want to get in your mind for a minute. What did you see from this past week's matchup versus Colorado and that Nebraska, man?
Okay,
It was a
so
it was a
so
very thrilling game.
for me, when I measure everything, I just like to look at, okay, I don't like to look at, when you score a lot of points, you come
Mm-hmm.
out or whatever, like, because last week, phenomenal showing, you know, they did their thing, they came out, they shocked the world, George Sanders beat them up with the arm, 500 plus passing yards, doing this thing. Hunter, athlete, amazing athlete.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but I wanted to see how they responded when adversity came. When
Mm-hmm.
when when your back's against the wall, you can't get the ball moved because that happens in any college sport, football, basketball, whatever. It's just not your night that night at that point in time. What do you do when your back's against the wall? You're not getting the looks. So Shedeur Sanders wasn't getting those looks first half. He was struggling a little bit. Colorado
Mm-hmm.
in general was struggling just a little bit. We weren't used to seeing them like that as opposed to week one. But what they say, ball is ball.
Mm-hmm.
Second half they made the adjustments. They settled down, settled in. Shedeur Sanders balled out. He did it with his arm, did it with his leg. And what do you do in college football? You get your playmakers in space. Let them make plays.
Mm-hmm.
So I think they allowed their players to make plays. They got them in position to get upfield, use their speed and athleticism to make plays and score. And that's what I loved about it. Shedeur Sanders looks like he has it between the ears. He calmed down. He calm, settled himself. Because it's not how you start, it's how you finish. Nobody
Mm-hmm.
remembers the start. Everybody remembers the finish. You can
Mm-hmm.
ball out, score 40 points the first half. Nobody's gonna remember that if you lose. You know.
Right. Right.
So so I like the fact that they were able to adjust and figure out what Nebraska wanted to do. And Nebraska, on the other hand, got to clean a lot of miscues up. They could be good. Sims beat them with the legs. We thought they were gonna blow it wide open to carry that momentum on. They didn't do that.
Yeah.
So a lot of miscues early on, late in the game that allowed them to struggle. I think if they clean those things up, they could be a really good football team.
Yeah.
But I think overall, Colorado proved a lot of the questions that we had about them.
Mm-hmm.
It's not gonna be easy going forward. I mean, they
Yeah.
got USC, they got Oregon coming up soon,
Mm-hmm.
but they've seen how everybody's coming for them now. So I like what they did. I like what Prime is doing.
It's great that you said that Colorado does have that big circle on their backs now, that big target, and especially everybody has this thing about Coach Prime. I mean, the man can sneeze the wrong way and he's in the news. I mean,
Right.
Coach Prime has done something in college football that is really unconventional. Like the man is really making strides to becoming one of the greatest college football coaches of our time. And what I really truly like about Coach Prime is he's unapologetic. Like what he says stands and he's not going back on his word.
Right.
And
Right.
that's
Right.
and I really feel like that brings a feel to this squad as far as this year's Colorado squad because man, I mean Folsom Field, like I don't think we've ever seen Folsom Field that packed out.
Yep.
And you can tell that the fans are really behind Coach Prime
Right.
because he's genuinely himself.
Right. Right.
And when you have a coach like that, your players are going to follow suit. And I
Exactly.
mean,
Exactly.
their whole theme this week was it's personal. It was personal against Nebraska. And when you have something that really drives your players to just drive through a brick wall for you, that's when you get results. And I
Right.
mean, it showed yesterday. I mean,
Right.
you had Shadur Sanders going off for 393 yards just with his big arm. And when
Right.
with that big arm, it converts into big plays. I mean, it's that simple. You coach even has a thing where he does not have captains. No captains involved. He has leaders and he has them dogs. I love it. Them leaders
Yep.
and dogs.
I
And
love it too. I love it too.
and, it is two guys who I feel like were really unsung heroes this past week was wideout Xavier Weaver and running back Dylan Edwards. I mean, those guys they played with something that I just felt like, man, that was really the big play that was needed in yesterday in that win. And I mean, when you have guys like that, when you have studs who are really like on, like their previous game wasn't too hot, but then they just explode, and you're like, man, like who is that kid? Like I need to see more of him. I need to see more of him on that field because those are the guys who you really don't talk about in your scouting report, and then they just punch you in the mouth.
Right.
I love it. I love it. I love it.
Right.
And I know you were talking about Jeff Sims. You know we know about Jeff Sims from Georgia Tech. Didn't play so hot. I have a respect for Jeff Sims because the man knows how to use his. I mean he just his legs get him so far. But I promise you, if we see more of Jeff Sims' arm and the way he can actually be versatile on the
Right.
field, oh man, oh man, we
The
have a
sky is the
problem.
limit. The sky is the
Yeah,
limit.
we have a
You know.
problem on our hands.
Yeah.
We definitely have a problem on. I mean, he started off early with some turnovers. It was quite a few on Nebraska's end. Those handoffs, man, those handoffs got to get cleaned up
Yeah,
from Nebraska.
it's timing. It's timing.
Yeah,
It's timing. You
yeah,
know, you gotta keep your head in the game. You gotta,
hmm
calm down. You're only as good as your next play. So,
yeah,
not your last play. The next play. So
hmm
so that's why everybody they have stuff already dialed up.
yeah,
But it's okay. Like I said, you got to clean those miscues up.
hmm
That's why you have film. That's why you have film. You see what you did
yeah,
wrong, go practice it, work on it. But at the end of the day,
hmm
I think Colorado, figured it out. They capitalized on a lot of those miscues. We know
yeah,
college football. It might not be so perfect. It might not be so perfect at all, but you
hmm
capitalize on what you can.
yeah,
Whatever the team gives you, you take it. So
hmm
I think Colorado did a very good job of that. You know,
yeah,
um, you know, uh, I think Colorado figured it out. You know,
hmm
you say, okay, we capitalizing on what they giving us. Okay, they you know, trying to trick us a little bit with the defenses and
yeah,
things like that. Okay, cool. Let's settle down, readjust, come back to it. So
hmm
and they did that. And Nebraska just couldn't get it. They just really couldn't get it going because I thought that after Jeff Sims scored that touchdown or whatever with his legs, I thought, hey, they might have something, and
yeah,
they just couldn't
yeah,
get it going.
hmm
It was like one and done type of thing. So, but they can clean those things up. I think they have the potential to still be a good football team.
yeah, absolutely. And I mean, Nebraska's defense in that first half, they had Shadur like
Right.
what like Shadur was almost like a deer in headlights, man. Like he was like, okay, like this is
And
this is a different environment.
and and
You know,
and,
this
and,
is
and in the words of Coach Prime, just keep making plays, baby.
keep
Keep
making
making plays.
plays, and he did just that. He did just that, man. And it was, I mean, it was a great it was just a great showing. And I mean, from his showing the previous week against TCU to now, the man is about to hit almost what over 1,000 yards within
Yep.
just in the first
Yep.
3 games of the season.
Right.
I
Right.
mean, man,
He's doing
I'm
his
just
thing.
yeah,
He's
and
doing
it's
his thing.
just so it's
I think we've answered a lot of questions about
yeah,
Colorado. They're
yeah,
for real. They
yeah,
belong here. The players
mhm,
belong here. Prime belongs here. Prime's got fans looking at their coaches like, what are you doing? Rebuild, rebuild,
yeah, yeah,
rebuild. No. We can turn this around now.
yeah,
Transfer portal, NIL. We can turn this around now. But
yeah,
what they fail to realize, they ain't him. You know,
Mm-hmm.
who wouldn't want to play for Prime? Arguably one of the most uh, uh, entertaining players, one of the best cornerbacks this league, most best athlete the NFL has ever seen. You know, he's played at the college level. He did it at the NFL level with multiple teams. So,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, who wouldn't want to play for Prime? Prime get
Uh,
that dog out you.
I would.
Prime.
I would.
If you don't play football, you like okay. You see Prime. I see
Yeah.
Prime in the locker room. I'm ready to lace up. I'm like,
Right.
hey,
Yeah.
let's do it.
Yeah.
Let's do it. You know what I'm
He
saying?
has an
So
aura. He has an aura about himself, man. And
brings
you
that
just,
energy.
I
He brings
mean,
a
like I
certain
said
type.
earlier, you just want to run through a brick wall for him.
Right, right.
I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree more.
And that's facts. But I love it. It's shaking
Yeah.
up the college football scene.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like they got a big test coming up soon, Oregon, and they have USC coming up, so
Mm-hmm.
that'll answer some more questions. Like
Yeah.
it's always questions by any team. I don't care if you're Georgia, Alabama, whatever. It brings you have questions surrounding you
Yeah.
always. You know, whether it's can you do that again? What do you do at adversity? You know, are you this? Are you that? Those questions got to be answered.
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, it's about ships. It's about
Mm-hmm.
championships. You know, and you know we get to that. So you
Yeah.
know, I think that they have something. Excuse me, something good going. I think they're for real. They're
Yeah.
for real.
Well, listen, we can sit here and talk about this game all day because of how great it was and how good of a showing it is. But let's head south a little bit towards New Orleans, baby.
Yeah,
talk
baby,
about
yes sir.
talk about Tulane and Ole Miss, man. Listen, Kai Horton, what a guy. I mean, stepping up for his starting quarterback who was injured. I mean, he's a stud. Kai
Yeah,
Horton put up a game yesterday. I mean, unfortunately, it didn't translate into a W. But listen, I mean, when you have Lane Kiffin as your coach, I mean, come on, Lane Kiffin. To me, Lane Kiffin is a coach where you just like it's either you go out there and do it, or you
you
gonna go out there and do it.
that you hate them or you love them,
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
hate to love them sometimes.
right,
You
yeah,
know.
man,
But then
yeah,
you know what I'm saying. But I think Tulane,
hmm
you know, answered a lot of questions about them. Like I've said
yeah,
before, it's about
yeah,
answering those questions.
hmm
Tulane showed that they belong. You know,
yeah,
they stuck with them. They stuck with
hmm
Ole Miss. You know, Ole
yeah,
Miss got the best of them. Like I said, players made plays, adjustments were made. You know, Dart did his thing, and he got his players in space. Got his players in space. The running back got going. You know, it's almost
yeah,
not therapeutic, but it's almost like magic. Like
hmm
it's so beautiful to see a play come together. It's so beautiful to see that turnaround. You
right,
know, so I think Ole Miss, Tulane, they were giving it to each other early, back and forth.
hmm
You know, but I think as the game went on, Lane Kiffin and Ole Miss made some adjustments, took off with it. You know,
yeah, yeah.
so you know, players make plays. Players make
hmm
plays.
Right, and I mean, one of the players that made a few plays was, of course, returning quarterback Jackson Dart for Ole Miss. I mean, listen, he's gonna do what he has to do. I mean, 2 touchdowns, interception, and then over 200 yards. I mean, listen, if I'm an offense coordinator, that's a great day for me. I mean, you come out with a W. Listen, Tulane is no just chip off the old block. This is a team. This is a college football team. I mean, they're ranked in the top 25 for a reason, just like how
Right.
Ole
And
Miss
and they
is.
show that they belong. Yep.
Exactly. But let's not get carried away here. Like Tulane put up a showing yesterday.
Yeah.
Like they put up a showing. You're
And
not just gonna come. You're not just gonna come in our home and think you're gonna escape with a win. They
just
did,
just
but
because
they
you
put.
SEC, you don't think you're gonna blow us out. Now we
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
fight. You know,
yeah,
we're gonna
yeah,
fight tooth and nail, and I love it.
exactly,
I love it, and
for
I
sure.
respect it so much. Dart, you know, his mechanics, things he
hmm
does, you know, as opposed to last year,
Yeah,
I love it. What I like I said before, I like to see what you do with adversity, and then I also
hmm
like to see how you develop. To me, good
yeah,
quarterbacks learn. You know, they can learn, get better. You know, from year to year. So show that you're coachable, and he's
yeah,
coachable. He showed that he can change those things, clean those things up,
hmm
and he showed that this week. I think
yeah, Yeah.
I think Ole Miss is gonna be, I think they're gonna be all right. I think they're gonna be
Yeah.
all right. Tulane, even though they took the loss, I don't think they have anything to hold their heads about.
Oh
Hold
yeah.
their heads down about. I think they proved a lot of doubters wrong. Even with the loss, they showed that they can hang
Hmm.
with the big boys. They can
Oh,
hang. You
that
know,
defense is legit.
they're real. They're real. They're
Yeah.
real. Like I
Yeah.
say, all teams you got to clean stuff up. You just got to
Hmm.
clean stuff up.
Yeah.
That's what it boils down to. Get back in that field room. Get back on
Oh
that
yeah.
field. Clean it up. So
And yeah, and I mean, bro, we had some fireworks early that game. I mean, both teams scored within 7 minutes of the first quarter. Like I'm not even gonna listen. I thought we were gonna have a game that was literally gonna be in overtime, and it was
right,
gonna be like in the 50s.
right.
And I'm like, oh,
Right.
oh,
It
we
looked
got
like it
ourselves
looked
a
like a
football
shootout early.
game.
It looked like a
Yeah.
shootout early, but them
Yeah.
defenses calmed down, got comfortable,
Hmm.
dug their cleats on the ground, and
Yeah.
it brought that dog out like we was talking about
Oh
with,
yeah.
with
Oh
Dion.
yeah.
It brought that dog out. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? And Dart was able to lead his team and say, "Hey,
Hmm.
let's calm down. Let's get this thing going."
Yeah.
Defense figured it out. So I think both teams. Hats off to both teams. I think Ole Miss.
For sure.
I think Ole Miss. It's good to get that test early. Good to
Yeah.
get that
Yeah.
test early. It brings your team together because
Yeah.
you don't want to happen. You're not tested early, then come into the season. Because we all know with college football, you lose late. It's hard to bounce back. It's
Hmm.
very difficult to bounce back. You
For
lose
sure.
early, you can kind of build yourself back up depending on who you lost to, how you lost, whatever. But the fact that you dealt with adversity this early on,
Hmm.
your team can draw on that later on. So if you
Yeah.
have a game on down the line that means a little bit more, and you playing a team that is just a little bit more talented, a little bit more competitive, you can draw from this experience. Say, hey, we've been down before. We know what
Hmm.
this looks like. Let's dig our cleats in the ground and do it again. We down. Okay, cool, no problem. Dust your hands off with that. Let's get it going. It's not how you start. It's how you finish.
Right. Let me backtrack real quick because it was one guy who I need to give this man. If we start like awards, giving out awards in the show, this man definitely needs to get one. Running back Malachi, I'm sorry, Makai Hughes. OMG, this man is a beast. Oh, I've never like the man was just running through people's children, and I felt bad.
Hey,
Like
players
I
make
felt
plays.
bad.
Players make plays.
I
Hey,
have never seen someone run so aggressive, and I mean just churning
what
the
Dion say
train.
is personal. It's
Yeah.
personal.
Oh, it was definitely personal with him. I
You got to
mean,
as a running back, you got to carry that edge.
yeah,
You got to
yeah,
carry that edge. You
yeah.
got all these guys trying to take your head off.
Hmm. Yeah,
Why not?
yeah,
Why not?
yeah.
Go down fighting. Keep them
It
legs
was,
turning.
it
You know.
was, it was.
And I want to say also Judkins. Judkins
Yeah,
was
yeah.
a beast. He was slow early, but oh my gosh, did he get it going? You know.
it
Yeah.
was like poetry in motion.
Poetry in motion. Poetry in motion. I, I saw him play last year.
Yeah.
This year it don't look like he lost a step. Don't look like. I
Uh-huh.
think as long as Dart and Judkins are there,
Hmm.
I think Ole Miss is gonna be all right. I think they're gonna
Yeah,
be all right.
yeah. And I mean, one last thing to tell you, man. The commentator said it best. I mean, the stadium was rocking. Student section was going. I mean, man, they made that environment almost feel like it was a Power Five environment. They had
You,
Ole Miss rattled, and of
you
course,
gotta
Ole
love
Miss had to
college
get out of there.
football, baby.
Oh
Gotta
yeah,
love.
man. Listen, this is why we do it. This is why we do it. We live for Saturdays. I mean, we can't say it anymore. We live for Saturdays. But hey, you know what time it is.
You gotta get to
We
the
finna
to the
we
big boy, the juggernaut.
we finna listen. We finna head to T Town and get into this Alabama and Texas matchup, man. OMG! Listen here, man. When I say this game brought the drama, and I mean, listen,
From
you ever
start to
just
finish.
see, listen, you ever just saw a movie and you're just like, man, right after the movie, you're just like, I got to see this again. That's what this game was yesterday. I need to see this game again. And guess what? We will because Texas is coming to the SEC And I mean, man, for this game to be the second matchup, I mean, privy of last year's, it just felt like it just gets better and better and better and better. And I mean, I need more.
Right.
I'm already looking forward to next season's matchup.
Right.
I,
Texas proved that they belong in the SEC.
yes,
They, I'm gonna
yes.
be honest. Last year they showed it too.
Mm-hmm,
And to me, last year, even though they came out with the loss, which was
mm-hmm.
unfortunate last year,
Yeah.
they made it hard on Bama.
Mm-hmm.
They made it very difficult.
Yeah.
Bama had Bama sweating a little bit,
Mm-hmm.
fans and all.
Yeah.
But players make plays. Bryce Young was
Mm-hmm.
able to get it done last year. But this year they had this game circled. They said, all right, done with that. Short memory, but we keeping that in the back of our minds. We know
Yeah. Yeah.
this is the game we want. We start off with this game, and the quarterback for Texas, he said something very key at the post game. I want to go to the post game, and I'm gonna backtrack to the
Mm-hmm.
actual game. He said they asked him. They said, "What do you want fans to say about this performance and your team going forward?" He said, "Nothing. We ain't finished. We got a lot of good football to play, and I love that. I love that. Okay, this one feels good. It's great, but it's a small step to what we're trying to accomplish. Because remember last year they beat I mean they almost beat Bama and had that momentum going, but
Mm-hmm.
then after that it's kind of like okay, maybe it was just some magic that day. It's
Mm-hmm.
like they couldn't really get a rhythm going all the way. But now they got the win. What do they do going forward? Do they fold or do they keep on pushing? And I like the mindset of what they got going on right now. Okay, yeah, we won this. It feels good, but on to the next.
Yeah.
So, beautiful thing.
Yeah.
It's a beautiful thing.
Absolutely, man. And I mean, I couldn't have said it better. Like Quinn Ewers, the quarterback who you're referring to, I mean, absolute stud. I really enjoyed him, especially watching him play last year. Unfortunately, he got hurt last year. And I mean, to me, I felt like this was his revenge game. He
Right.
had so much left in his tank to show for it. And I mean, man, he was just throwing dimes left and right on that.
Man,
Oh, man, it was beautiful.
beautiful
It was
pass. Beautiful.
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 It was just, I mean, it just brought a tear to your eye just to
Right.
see how just
You love a comeback story.
you couldn't ask for a better one. I mean, man,
They say
because so many people had Texas out of this game. I mean, listen, it's just great. It's a great thing to see when you have a team just rally like that. Because if you know, like I know, like Alabama is a second half team, and when that second half hits, a totally different Alabama team comes out of that locker room. Nobody knows how to explain it. Not even Alabama knows how to explain it. But it's an entirely different team that comes out of that locker room. And
it,
they go at you early. And I mean, listen,
you can't make it up. Adjustments. That's what it boils
yeah.
down to. You got Nick Saban as head coach who's
Mm-hmm.
great at adjusting
Yeah.
second half. Great at
Yeah.
adjusting. And yours, I love it.
Mm-hmm.
The dime to the end zone overhead as a receiver.
Yeah.
You dream about plays like that. I thought that was beautiful. I was out of my seat as a former receiver myself. I was out of my seat. I love it. I love it. I love it.
did you
I
run
love
into the
those
TV?
overheads where you gotta look back and try to track it, and it just drops in your hands. It's beautiful. It's beautiful. You know,
Did you run into the TV like he was passing to you?
Man, I almost got up. I almost got up. I did almost get up. I said, hey, hit me, I'm open. Hit me, I'm open. These days I play left gate, ain't cooler, but it's okay. It's all right. It's all right. It's all right. But I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I wanted to see I wanted to see how they were gonna do.
Mm,
Bijan is not there, obviously.
yeah.
But running backs, players make plays. Players make
Mm,
plays. Next man up. The running back still did good. I personally think Bama's defense. They had some holes in there.
mm,
Cornerbacks had some sloppy play here and there, but it's almost like a up and down game. Like they would have a penalty, then make a big play. Have a penalty,
yeah.
make a big play. But I think what it boiled down to for Bama, the defense was on the field a lot.
Mm,
If you know anything about football, which I know you do, is
mm,
is when your defense is on the field a lot. I don't care how in shape they are, they're gonna wear down. They're gonna
yeah.
miss a step. somebody on that team is gonna miss a step. Even if you
Yeah.
got the rest of the guys that are at 100% go still, somebody's gonna miss a step. And for
Mm-hmm.
college football, that little second, that little small half a step that you miss can go from a play from in the backfield to a touchdown.
Yeah.
So I think that it kind of wore him down a little bit. And also, Jalen Miro on the other side, he had an up and down game as well. He
Yeah.
had some big
Yeah.
big passes, big plays with his legs. But again, a lot of miscues, a lot of
Yeah.
miscues.
Yeah.
Clean up. I think him being the runner that he is, he sometimes get a little antsy and tries to
Mm-hmm.
he makes the wrong read in that particular moment when he got sacked. He ran right into the player, you know.
Yeah.
Um, but that's all right. It's early in the
Mm-hmm.
season. This is one of those things like Nick Saban said. Hey, it's early. You know, you want to clean that up early. If you're gonna lose early. No team in college football wants to lose, but if you're gonna lose early. And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
you lose to a solid Texas team that's a number 11.
Yeah.
So that's not meaning that Bama is out. It just means that okay, we need to pick it up. Just because we're Alabama doesn't mean that hey, we got a target on our back. So you got to
Mm-hmm.
clean that up. Jalen Milroe has to clean some things up. It's beautiful that he can run, but in the same perspective, you got to be able to throw that thing downfield, make the right reads, and then
For sure.
also with running. When the pocket collapses, you got to make that right read, pick those holes, pick your spot.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that in some spots he did do well with that. I think they couldn't really establish the run like we used to seeing Bama do. So that hurt a lot too. So they put more pressure on the quarterback, which is the importance of running backs across the board. You know, and I don't think that Bama has bad running backs. I just think Texas just wanted it more up
Mm-hmm.
front. So I think some things need to be cleaned up. I think Burton had some big plays. Big plays, Jalen Milroe found him for a touchdown on that deep
Yeah.
ball again over the head. I was out of my seat for that one. I love it. I love it. I
Yeah.
love it.
Yeah.
Um,
And listen, wait, before you go, I have to get on the other side, man. Texas, my boy A.D. Mitchell, former Georgia Bulldog, man. Like the two touchdowns he had literally brought. I
he
mean, man,
balled out. He balled out.
he
He balled
balled out. I was so happy to see him out there actually, and contributing, man.
out. Hmm.
Much love and respect to that kid, man. He was out there going crazy for Texas. Loved it.
Right. And
Loved it. Loved it. Loved it.
Texas, I didn't realize how deep they were at receiver.
Yeah. Yeah.
I see the names, with transfer portal and everything. You see
Mm-hmm.
the names, but when you see them on the field and they start to make plays, you're like, oh, wait a minute.
Mm-hmm.
They got this guy, that guy. Okay, cool, and they're making plays.
Yeah.
Yours is finding them. They're
Mm-hmm.
it's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
beautiful because you can do all you want in practice. You can do all you want in the transfer portal, but
Mm-hmm.
does it translate to the game? It's a thing about getting the right group. I
Yeah.
think Texas has the right group.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know what's coming next. I don't know. I'm not saying championship. I'm not throwing the C word out too
Yeah.
early.
Yeah.
But what I'm saying is, I think if they continue to play with this edge like they did on Saturday, I think that they're going to be a difficult team to beat.
For sure. For sure.
And they
And
prove again that they belong in the SEC.
yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. And Alabama is not done. Let's
Oh
go
no,
ahead and get this out here now. Alabama is not done. Just getting started. I mean, those guys they played great football yesterday. I mean, they were attacking the ball early, hitting hard per usual Alabama defense. And I mean, they created a lot of havoc and chaos early. I mean, forced fumbles. They were everywhere. They were flying to the ball. It was just complete madness, which is great because that throws your offense for a loop. You're not going to get this conservative offense. I mean, I'm
yeah.
sorry, defense who's just gonna, oh, the ball's going over my head. Even though it did, that wasn't until later on in the game, though. Early, they want to make an impact, and
They
that's what
want,
they did.
want you to remember that they there.
Exactly, exactly. So yeah, Alabama is not the. I mean, listen, they're playing against South Florida next week. They should handle business. That gives them that confidence back and lets them know, okay, let's finish the season off strong, make it into the CFP polls, and let's try to go win a championship.
Yeah,
But of
it
course,
gets
there's
it.
still
But
yeah, there's still going to be obstacles in the way of that. I mean, they still have to play against Auburn, Tennessee. It's still a lot of obstacles in their way. But as of now, focus on the present. That's
Right.
not until later on in the year. You
Right.
still have you still have a
Right.
lot of more schools and a lot of more teams. You're gonna go out there and show them, hey, we're Bama, we can do that. But focus right now. You know what
Right
I'm
now.
saying? This is not the end of your season. It was
Exactly.
just one obstacle. Yeah, it's a lot of talk about, we're dropping the eighth or we're dropping the seventh. Don't worry about that. Because
Fuel.
it's college football.
Fuel.
Anything can happen.
That's fuel. That should be
Georgia can
fuel.
lose next week.
Right. That's just fuel. That that
Georgia
that
can lose
that
next
should
week.
get every player in that locker room. That should get them fired up. Oh, they
Yeah,
dropping us to this. I feel disrespected.
yeah,
I,
yeah,
it's personal.
hmm yeah,
I feel disrespected. We are college football. We are college playoff team. We know
hmm
that college football playoff team.
yeah,
That should be their mindset. And like you said, next week they have a game that they should win by a
hmm
large margin. You take that game, you use that game to do what? Clean up those miscues.
yeah,
Milfro, okay, you didn't make these reads last week. Let's do this. Let's clean this up in practice, and
hmm
let's clean this up for this game. You say,
yeah,
okay, when I was running, I ran right into the player. Okay, next time let me create my own space and not
hmm
run in less space where there's a player. Okay, let me do this. Let me do this. Let me clean this
yep,
up. And for Texas, you do the same thing, regardless of if it's a great team or if it's a team that you should beat by a mile. You go and
hmm
you clean those things up. You go back to the film room, go back to the practice facilities and say, hey, all right, we won, but we still
hmm
missed some stuff.
yeah,
Like going back to what Shadur Sanders said in one of his interviews. He said, Tom Brady was telling him, you know, the things how you get better, you clean up the bad stuff. You don't focus on the good, you clean up the
yeah,
bad. So with Texas, with yours, you say, okay, I missed this throw. Let me clean that up. I already know I got a deep ball and I got a cannon and I can put it where my receivers can go get it, and I know they're gonna go get it. You know,
oh yeah,
you
oh
know,
that's how I know you
I
serious.
know,
That
but
boy
on
neck rolling over
these
there.
passes here, we were off.
Yeah, yeah,
Say these passes here, we was off. My timing was
hmm
off. Or,
hmm
you chose this route when it was supposed to be this. Whatever it might be, you go clean that up with your receivers. You go clean that up with your line. You say, hey, let's work on this route 1,000 times till it's muscle memory, Mamba mentality, to the point to where if they pressing me, I'm going to it anyway. If,
yep,
if if I'm getting hit, I'm going to it anyway.
hmm
Because if you can do it in your sleep, you can do it when you're awake, right?
hmm
So just cleaning those things up. I think Texas is for real. I still think Bama is for real. I think their defense is stout. I think if they clean up a lot of those penalties, things like that, the miscues, and I know Saban's gonna no Saban somewhere got his notebook out.
oh
I'm
yeah,
I'm gonna
oh
get
yeah,
him in practice. I already know.
yeah,
Offense, obviously we got stuff to work on with that. The line, line got to protect Milrow. And
hmm
Milrow's got to, make the decision. Hey, if I'm gonna throw it away, throw it away. If I'm gonna run, run. If I'm
yeah,
gonna make that pass downfield, put it there.
yeah,
Just those little decisions. Because, like I said before, those split decisions, those small decisions, that 1 second is the difference between a pick and a touchdown.
oh yeah,
You
oh
know,
yeah,
so
for
so
sure.
make your play and go, make your read and go. If it's not there, guess what? As a quarterback, you got the option to do what? Throw it away. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah,
you're the same thing. You say, hey, it's not there. Let's go away from it. Because by
yep,
no
yep.
means did just because yours had a great game, doesn't mean he didn't do anything bad.
hmm
He did some bad stuff in there.
Yeah,
That was kind of questionable.
yep.
But at the same time, hey, let's clean that up. That's bottom line. Let's clean it up. Let's get better for the next week. I think both of these teams are gonna be all right. I think they're gonna, make a run toward the end. I think they're gonna be all
For
right.
sure, for sure. And before we segue into our final game, can't forget to mention Coach Steve Sarkisian now joining the list of former coaches
To
to
beat Bama.
to beat Coach Nick Saban. So congrats to him and much success on the rest of the season for him. And I feel like we'll be coming back to talk about this Texas team more later on in the season. Now let's hop on that big jet plane and head to
Yeah. Since
Cali.
we are talking about Bama, let's talk about it.
We're going back. Hey, Auburn versus Cal, man. Listen, this game here. Listen, I'm not privy or a fan of Pac-12 after dark. because that is my bedtime. Listen. I'm
You're
not going to
not lying.
sugarcoat it.
I
I'm
feel
not going to
I,
sugarcoat it. This
I
game
gained
didn't
so
end
much
till like
respect.
what 2 o'clock.
So much respect was gained that night. I was trying to
Yeah.
keep my eyes open. Oh my lord.
Yeah, man. It was something, man. I'm tucking myself in bed trying to stay up and watch this game. But man, listen here. I mean, let me start off by saying this. It's very normal to see quarterbacks often switching off taking snaps. I mean, you thought you were going to see it between Peyton Thorne and Robbie Ashford yesterday, but also Cal had it going on as well with their quarterbacks. And I want to say this: let's not get in the habit of trying to bash our teams or coaches. We need a quarterback. We need him now. We need to go ahead and name a quarterback.
You know,
That's not the case. Coaches in practice see what we don't.
right,
And I really feel like coaches are really trying to make the best option that's going to be able to lead a team.
right,
It's, it
right,
it goes beyond playing at some point
right,
because you're looking at leadership. You're looking at who's going to be able to take pretty much be the on-field coach.
right.
you know,
The leader,
and
the leader.
not, but yeah, as far as a leader, but you need that on-field coach as well, and I really think that's what it's boiling down to, as far as with both of these teams. Both all four of these guys can play with so much emotion, this, that, and the third, but who is going to be able to lead this team for the rest of the season?
Right. Now I will say that all four of these quarterbacks bring something different to the table.
Mm-hmm.
And I will say for Cal in their defense, they weren't trying to go to a two quarterback system. They were trying to the quarterback got hurt. Their starting quarterback got hurt last week in the
Mm-hmm.
season opener. You bring your backup in and he goes 24 for 24.
Mm-hmm.
So you got a long season.
Yeah.
So if your starter is not completely healthy,
Mm-hmm.
you want to sit him because you feel like, okay, my backup, he did it this week. Let me get him back in. But what happened was in that game in particular, he struggled. The backup
Mm-hmm.
struggled. He couldn't do the same things. Couldn't do it on his feet. And with the defense like Auburn has this year, you have to be able to move. You have to be able to move because they're fast. They're fast,
Yeah.
big, and they're physical. You know, um, I think Asante had 12 tackles,
Yeah.
12 tackles, and I think he had, if I'm not mistaken, don't quote me. I think he had like 2 sacks, something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and he balled out. He balled out. He was physical. So how do you combat that? What do you do with that? You change back. You say, okay, he's 85%, 90%, but he's okay to go. It's not his
Mm-hmm.
throwing arm. So they put the starter back in, and the starter instantly first drive he came in, they took
Yeah.
it down and I ran it in for a touchdown. I made a play because they were stuffing him.
Yeah.
But that spark that the starter has, because he's been with them the whole time, working on timing, working on this, that, and the third. And when the pocket collapses, he can get in space. So, and that was a problem for Auburn at first, but Auburn made the adjustments and said, "Hey, we're gonna make this guy feel uncomfortable,
Mm-hmm.
drifting him back 5, 6 yards, until he has to run around and Patrick Mahomes it a little bit and create
Right.
something downfield,
Yeah.
you know." And let me say this as well. On both sides, it was not pretty at all.
Yeah.
You know, I think that Auburn, the jet lag got to him a little bit, and the time difference got to him a little bit because they just didn't seem like they were awake.
Mm-hmm.
But I tell you who did seem awake, Asante from Auburn. Oh my God. Oh my God! It like he don't get tired. He Kevin Gates with it. He don't get tired, and he got in it. He kept Auburn in the game, and the
Yeah.
DBs played a very good game. And the miscues. We keep going back to this. It's week 2. It's early. Teams are still
Mm-hmm.
figuring out things. Cal missed. I think it's like 3 field goals that they
Mm-hmm.
missed, which was points on the board. The beginning of the game was crazy. They had a touchdown wiped off the board for it being out of bounds when they caught the fumble.
Mm-hmm.
So you put those points back on the board, it's a whole different ball game. And on the other side of the ball, Auburn, they had a lot of miscues with two of their top running backs fumbling, and then the quarterback fumbling and throwing an interception. So it's very difficult. It's very difficult in any environment to bounce back from turnovers like that many, you
Mm-hmm.
know, and to be in California on a different time zone late at night. It's almost 2 o'clock in the morning where you're from, so you're sleepy. Your body's
Yeah.
not used to that. So you're trying to fight with yourself to get up. And I saw Coach Hugh Freeze on the sideline wiping his eyes, like, "Stay up, man! Like, I got to get a Red Bull or something. 'Cause if
Yeah.
not,
Yeah.
I'm gonna make a pallet on this bench over here." So but like I said, they was able to get it done. They was able to get it done, but it was
Mhm.
a lot of sloppy play on both sides.
Yeah, yeah. And again, like you said, still early on in the season. Of course, Auburn has a schedule for the making this season, as well as Cal. And I mean, both teams are still going to make a difference within their conference. I mean, Cal is still Pac-12, so they're still going to have to play some really hard nosed teams that are coming up on their schedule, and it's really going to be a sight to see as far as the rest of the season goes for both of these squads.
Right,
And listen, this is just the beginning. We're only in week 2, and I
right,
mean, so much has happened
right. And
within these
Pac-12 has
few
been
weeks.
balling. Pac-12 has been
Yes,
balling. It,
yes,
it's surprising because we don't see that. It's first time they
mm-hmm,
started out before last night. I think they started out 18-0.
yeah,
So
yeah,
that's for any conference. That is a
mm-hmm.
beautiful thing.
Oh yeah,
And like I said, to go back to the game, it was a low scoring game. It's
yeah.
14,
To 10,
14.
yeah.
It's I think both teams scored one. I mean, well, they scored 2 touchdowns. Auburn scored 2 times, obviously, and Cal scored one with the run from Ott. And
Yeah,
let's watch out for Ott. He did get an injury,
yeah,
um,
yeah.
with the leap there on
Mm-hmm.
and fell on his head or whatever, and didn't come back in action after that. But I hope he gets better soon. Uh, but like I said, it's very difficult. I don't think Cal or Auburn played like the team that they are. You
Yeah.
know, I don't think they play like the team that they are. I think Cal is, with the quarterback that they have, I think they're gonna do big things.
Mm-hmm.
As long as they clean up those miscues and they finish, because they didn't finish in the red zone at all. They
Yeah.
took it down to the red zone 5 or 6 times and just couldn't finish. They couldn't punch it in. Um, and and it was so crazy because Auburn couldn't capitalize on them not punching it in. And
Mm-hmm.
then toward the end, you get your tight end involved, and 6'4" tight end can leap out the roof. You finally make plays. Thorne got it going just a little bit. He played a little better, but he has to get back, and they have to get in the film room, check some stuff out. Both teams are tempo. You know,
Mm-hmm.
both teams are tempo. I think Cal wanted to go tempo, but going back to that man Asante, he was wreaking havoc down there. He was wreaking havoc. So it couldn't go tempo because they was in these third downs and long. So it couldn't. They had to set. They had to figure out. And then the timing with Cal's quarterback and receiver was off at times. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
he was thinking comebacks. They were going fly routes. I mean, you got to clean those things up. You say, if you see this, run this. If you don't see it, run this. So
Mm-hmm.
and once you get that chemistry, like, it's week 2, so that's gonna come along. I personally believe teams really hit their stride by week 6, week 7, after they've gone through some adversity, gone through some hard times, because uh, Auburn has a completely different team. Everybody on that team is pretty much different. Now, you don't really
Mm-hmm.
have too many starters coming back from last year. I know the DBs came back from last year, but a couple of the running backs did, but everybody else, for the most part, is
Yeah.
new, and
Yeah.
they've never played together before. So you
Mm-hmm.
have to, get that cohesiveness. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
It's
Right.
it's, it's you just go back. You just think about those Georgia teams and those Bama teams. It's cohesiveness. They're a unit.
Mm-hmm.
You have to learn how to play with each other. You know, okay, I know you. This is what you lack. Let's work on this. And then when we get in the game, this is where you're supposed to be. Okay, if I come here, you come here. It's knowing where everybody is gonna be at all times. You know,
Mm-hmm.
I do want to give a shout out to both defenses though.
Yeah.
Cal's defense definitely showed up. They played
Yeah.
physical.
A lot of defensive stances. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they played physical. They um they played physical. They played very physical. So did Auburn's defense. They played
Hmm.
very physical. I'm gonna say both teams look way different from what they did last year. I think Cal looks a lot better. I think Auburn's defense, which was questionable last year a little at times, they look very good. They just have to figure out what they're gonna do on offense. Because, like you said before, we don't want to get into the habit of judging our coaches and saying we this, that, and the third. But I do feel you have to have a single quarterback system.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I get it. Hugh Freeze said he wants to get Robbie Ashford involved because he's such a great athlete. I understand that. But you become predictable when you
Hmm.
only put a quarterback in for a certain set and then you run the same 2-3 plays with him.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
it's like with Cal. They ran the same running play 4 or 5 times in a row.
Hmm.
You have to get creative. This is not the old way of offenses anymore. Offenses now, explosive. You have to get points down, and I think that both teams have the personnel to do that. You have
Hmm.
Ott who can catch the ball out the backfield for Cal, who can run down here small back, but he is stout. He's gonna run
Hmm.
you over. You ain't tackling him the first time either. You
Right.
know,
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
so just some things they need to both clean up. I think um the miscues that Cal had outweighed the jet lag for Auburn. I mean,
Yeah. Yeah.
outweighed the jet lag for Auburn. But they squeezed out of there with a win. A W is a W. Don't look how good it is. So, you know, I think that both teams are gonna be all right. Auburn has Samford, I think, like next week, so they'll
Yeah.
they'll
Hmm.
bounce back, clean those things up, get that cohesiveness going. And now, like going back to what I said before with Colorado and all the other teams, you see what your team's made of.
Yeah.
Got adversity, you're down. It's 10:30 at night over there. It's 2 o'clock in the morning or whatever over here, whatever.
Hmm.
You're tired. You're jet lagged. You're struggling. How do you come together as a unit? And that,
Hmm.
to me, what I saw, they came together. Defense stood stout. For them to be on the field as long as they were, as many times as they were, for them to
Hmm.
not lose a step was a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Cal, same thing, because it was a back and forth. The defenses did their thing. So I think that moving forward, I think both teams are going to be great.
Hey man, listen. You just said listen, that was the best recap of a game for someone who could not stay up and watch Pac-12 after dark.
I was sleep. I was sleep at about the third quarter. I was, you know what I'm saying? But it
Yeah.
was good. It was good.
Hey, well, listen. Hey, you couldn't have said it better myself, brother. But listen, this is a perfect way to end our first ever episode of the College Couch. We hope you enjoyed it. We want you to follow every social media we have. We're on Instagram, X, or Twitter, as y'all call it now. Um, and I'll also subscribe to the YouTube channel as well. Listen, we are just getting started. I cannot stress this enough. We are just getting started, and we thank you for checking us out and showing love and support for us. This, oh my goodness, I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
Yep.
Um, yeah, thank you, thank you, thank you. We hope that you come back next week and check us out. And hey, this is
Hey,
where college sports reigns supreme, baby.
hey, comment the games you want us to cover.
Yeah.
Comment what you want to see. Like we
Hmm.
have merch coming soon. Everything is
Yeah.
coming on the way.
Yep.
Comment what you want to see. Like if you want us to cover a Pacific game, no matter if it's HBCU, D3, D2, we don't
Hmm.
care. We
Yeah.
want to cover everybody's.
We
If
want
you
to highlight it. Yep.
Right. Oh, and I want to, before we end it up, I want to say, I watched the Fort Valley game yesterday, and
Mm.
Clark, that was a very good game. That was a very good.
Nice. Nice.
I
Nice.
think
Nice.
the running game got going. It was a beautiful thing to see. I do want us to cover more and more of these games. So
Yeah.
you guys subscribe, like, share, tell us
Mm.
what you want us to watch and cover and
Yeah.
talk about. And if you're an athlete yourself, holler at us. We
Yeah.
put you in there. We
Yeah.
want
We'll
your
throw you on
story.
here for sure. Yeah. And
With
hey,
everything going on, transfer portal, NIL deal. You can send me $5 you want to with the NIL deal, but I'm just playing. But yeah, I mean, whatever you want us to
That's an
talk about, we gonna
NCAA
talk about.
infraction, and you know it.
Well, I ain't in college. I ain't in NCAA.
But no, seriously, man. Thank y'all again, and hey, and even if y'all want us to come out to a game, let us know, and we'll show love and support and be there in person. And listen, thank y'all. This has been a episode, the first ever episode of the College Couch. We are here and we are ready to take over and dominate the college sports world. We can't thank y'all enough. Thank you. Peace out.